Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad. With me, Shahidul Alam. He's a photographer from Bangladesh, because well known for the agency he set up, Drik agency, also a school, Pathshala, which has produced many award-winning students. And I remember I sent you a message from Mumbai, where I was witnessing a photography festival. I said to you, oh, there are 3 Bangladeshi out of 17 photographers representing this particular show. And then you said 2 of them were your students. And I was actually really chuffed. You must have been really chuffed to see the success of the young Bangladeshis that you've trained. I want to ask you about this exhibition that is now being held in New York. Tell us about that. What's happening there?
It's called Truth to Power. It was
from the expression speaking truth to power.
Absolutely. And it was the decision to have the show. It was interesting. My partner would visit me every day while I was in jail. And the cacophony, the sound is so high, you can hardly hear each other. So she had that little sign up saying, "Are you interested in a show at the Rubin?" And the Rubin is, of course...
I mean, she wrote it on a piece of paper to get a response.
Exactly. We had a binary system. I would have yes and no's, and that's how we communicated. But that was the message. And Rubin is not known for showing photography. They show art generally. But the 2 photographers they'd shown until then were Katia Bresso and Mark Rabu. So it's a tough act to follow. But of course, I wasn't going to turn it down. But the decision was made while I was in jail. And then the curator from Rubin came over to Dhaka once I was released, and we met, we talked about the show, and it's a major retrospective, and the first retrospective I'm having in the US. It's actually going on. It opened on the 7th of November and goes on till the 4th of May. But it looks at really my work over the years. Obviously, there's far too much work to be put into one show, so there are segments that are left out, and segments that are condensed. But it does look overall at the trajectory in terms of the talking truth to power, as it suggests, where I've questioned power, but also the vocabulary that I've used over that period of time. The fact that over time I've looked at other ways of engagement, and I'm a strategist. I look to produce work that will have maximum impact. So work like the work on the Rohingyas, for instance, and the early work on the struggle for democracy is more linear, more like the traditional photojournalistic Magnum-like work, whereas later work, which is about the disappearance of Kalpana Chakma, the indigenous activist in Bangladesh, uses a very, very different technique and is much more conceptual. There is also a segment which was produced after I came out of jail. And my niece, Sophia Karim, who's an architect and an artist, and I worked together where she relied on my memory to build 3D architectural models of my life in jail. And that is also part of the show.
Fascinating. When does it come to Asia? This show? Will it come? Will it travel?
I would like it to. It's a major show, but it's now in New York, then it goes to Houston, then it probably goes to Dallas. Melbourne has just been asking for it, but I've had questions from Asia, but I would certainly like to bring it.
I want to ask you about the training you're giving, right? So you have this amazing trajectory, and you have had success, and I'm sure a lot of young people want the success you've achieved from, a life of work. What do you say to them? How do you instill in them, apart from this desire for fame or fortune and all these things that many of us do actually want secretly, that worldview? Because as we noted earlier, you started with a worldview. How do you instill that in young people?
I think we are part of a connected world. And, okay, we talk about social media and other things making people insular, but in fact, it opens up the possibilities. And your well-being affects mine, and the other way around. And I don't think that's something we can forget. And also, I actually believe in a borderless world. I see myself as a citizen of the globe, and I want to make my mark on that basis, and the betterment of the planet is in your interest and mine. And I think, sure, wanting fame is not a problem, and fame and glory are all fine, but at the end of the day, passion is something you have to have, otherwise none of that arrives.
I want to, the remaining minutes that we have to talk about Bangladesh again. So you have this amazing diaspora. They're living in very, very different contexts, authoritarian contexts like Malaysia, or soft authoritarian, or Singapore. But they're also living in the democratic West and so on and so forth. When they come back to Bangladesh, what do they bring with them? And do they bring also aspirations for a different type of Bangladesh?
I think they do. What they don't always realize is it doesn't happen easy. And I think if you look at those people who've gone and come back, in a sense, someone like me is a very privileged person in a country like Bangladesh. The fact that I don't have to worry about whether I'm having breakfast tomorrow or food tomorrow in itself makes me privileged. Yet from that position of privilege, we do not consider it that the onus is upon us to ensure that the very people who gave us that privilege we need to give something back. And I think that is why they should come back. And I think the onus is upon all of us to ensure that it is a better Bangladesh for the average Bangladeshi. That is the Bangladesh that we fought for. That is the Bangladesh that liberation was about. And today, while the GDP has gone up, the wealth inequality has also gone up enormously. And people forget that Bangladesh today has the fastest growing wealthy people in the world.
I mean, I was in Dhaka just a couple of months ago. You're building a mass rapid, not you, but a mass rapid transit system is being built in Dhaka city. Income inequalities, climate change. We know Bangladesh is one of those countries that's going to be severely affected by rising sea levels. Is that factoring into your current work?
Very much so. In fact, I will be giving a keynote on the 9th of March at UNESCO in Paris on that very theme. And a lot of the work that we've done has built on it. But my work largely is about social justice. And I think environmental justice, food politics are also integral parts of that. And we cannot, politics is about power relationships. And at the end of the day, politics is the price of rice. You can't ignore that.
What would you say to young aspiring photographers? I mean, words of wisdom, what do you have for them?
Believe, be passionate, but one thing we cannot forget, I mean, there is this thing of bohemian concept of how the artist doesn't worry about worldly things. You need to work bloody hard. There's no compromise.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Shahidul.
Cheers.
I've been speaking to Shahidul Alam, the founder of Drik Agency, also the school Pathshala, which is School of Photography, founder of a photography festival in Bangladesh, and now has an exhibition in New York. This has been Let's Talk. I'm Sharaad Kuttan, only for Astro AWANI.
Thank you
very much.